Hi, my name's Ramon Jimenez. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just making a video during this lockdown during a pandemic. And I'm entitling it Be Kind or Else. Sort of a lesson that I've learned to improve my kindness and how it's helped me in my career, in my relationships, and also in my personal life. Now, let me get started with a story of a lieutenant. For those of you who don't know, I have served 9 years in the Philippine Marines. I'm also a veteran of the United States Air Force and now currently serving with the Tennessee State Guard as a lieutenant myself. So, the story that I'd like to tell to kind of get this all kicked off is a story about a second lieutenant. And for those of you who don't know much about the military, it's probably one of the most hated ranks in the military, regardless of what branch. And we were on a mission, civil military operations, where we were doing feeding programs and helping build schools and deliver some much needed clothes and school supplies to many of the underprivileged children in that region. Now, like I said, Holo is not a very safe place to be in. It's very treacherous. There's a lot of insurgents, a lot of Muslim insurgents that would love to take, the head of a Marine. And in one of the days that we were supposed to go to a town not too far away from the Marine base, I noticed that one of the lieutenants was being quite sadistic, to say the least. He was taking a lot of pleasure in inflicting pain, sometimes physical pain, and abusing his power, ordering people around, and just having a grand old time being mean. I spoke to the gunnery sergeant about it, and the gunnery sergeant smiles at me and says, "Don't worry, Sarge. He's not going to be our lieutenant for very long." Now, I would have probably not thought about it much after that, except for the fact that he gave the smirk to a lance corporal beside him, and that was very suspicious. I later on learned that apparently in certain units, not specifically to this one, that the enlisted people, once they've had enough of a particular officer or a higher ranking enlisted personnel who's a little bit mean, they let him take the lead, also the first bullet during an ambush. And that was common in Holo. Sounds kind of dark, isn't it? Obviously they were just going to feed him to the enemy and have him take the first bullet. So either he dies or goes to the hospital. Either way, they're out of his hair. Now, in the beginning, I said that if it can help you in your relationships, in your personal, in your professional life, then so be it. The truth of the matter is that you can't compartmentalize kindness. Either you are or you aren't. And you can't be kind in your workplace and be mean to your kids or to your friends or vice versa. But don't worry, it's something that can be learned. It's something that can be practiced just like any other virtue you'd like to have. Kindness actually starts with the willingness to be nicer to the people around you, the people you love, even the people that you don't know, even sometimes your enemies, right? And the first step that I took, because I actually took this journey, I don't believe I was the nicest person or the kindest person when I was growing up. But I do have to say the first step you have to take is to look at yourself in the mirror, right? Because there's no getting away from it, right? You can try to tell yourself that, oh, you're kind, oh, you're nice, you're considerate, you're all of these things, but deep down in your heart, you can't really escape having to come to grips and to terms with why certain people don't respond to you very well, or you're not very liked, or you're being talked about in a negative light in anywhere you go. There's no getting away from that. And for you to really make a concerted effort to be kind, you need to value your conscience, right? Take a look at your average day. At first start this journey to being a kinder person by taking a look at all the actions that you did in a particular day and be critical of yourself and ask yourself, okay, how could I have done that nicer? How could I have said something that could have been less hurtful? And to be intentionally kind and nice to people. Sometimes you will also notice that, oh, well, I'm also kind to a lot of people, but not everybody. So I call that selective kindness. And does that count? Yes, because at least it gives you a platform, or at least a standard by which you say, okay, I think I was very kind to this person. Now just spread it around to everybody else, to all of your relationships, to make sure that one way or another, you're being seen as kind, not just by the people you select to be kind to, but to everybody, right? So introspection and examination is very important, right? What did my actions do to the people involved to a particular event that happened during your day, right? And the more you are aware of your actions, how it affects people, and how you can improve it in the next few days, weeks, months, years, then even better. It can also be that you can say, well, I had no choice. I had to be mean because my boss told me I had to be. There are certain points, such as virtues, that you need to acquire. One is to have integrity and honor, at least to yourself, right? Be honorable. Don't give yourself any breaks. Understand that there are certain actions that you may have done that you had no control over, and in the spur of the moment you probably acted a little bit rashly. Be kind to yourself, but at least be honest to yourself. And if you did offend somebody, there's always time to apologize, and also to ask for a way to pay it back. Sometimes it's not very comfortable to do the right thing, and that also means that not only is it the outright kindness that you show to other people, but maybe sometimes doing something that is perceived as wrong is also an act of kindness. Let me give you an example. I actually have had to let people go as a manager, as a leader, in my different roles in corporate. And believe me, I hired this person, and he just wasn't getting the job done that I hired him for. Now, I took the responsibility to ensure that not only was I scrutinizing him in his delivery and his execution of his office, but I mean, I thought to myself that the greatest kindness I can do is to make sure that if he's not going to be successful with this team that I belong to, that I hired him in, that at least I can make sure that the kindest act I can do is to find him a place where all of his strengths are valued and most of his weaknesses are not taken into consideration. That was the kindest thing. I was honest whenever I had to have those conversations with those people. And I did actively help them find a new home, a new team, a new organization where they would fit better with his personality. And that's an act of kindness. I've actually gotten calls back from these particular people and said, Ramon, thank you for, for getting rid of me, right? I think, I knew it was a tough decision on your point, but at least you helped me, and you gave me the feedback so that I can improve myself. And now I find a new and better home. Earlier, I also said that in those particular cases, you also need to be kind to yourself. Kindness, like charity, begins at home. You need to be able to forgive yourself, have a short memory about many of the things that you have done, but also have the humility, and again, the courage to be able to ask for forgiveness when it's needed. So, in short, I think one of the biggest questions that was asked to me and is, well, how do I measure it, right? How do I know that I'm being kind? How do I know that my efforts are not being futile? And my answer to that is very simple. And I come from a martial arts background as well. I've been put on the road of the warrior, or in the case of the Japanese, they call it Bushido, or the way of the warrior. And in those pages in the book Bushido, the warrior prepares to die every single day. In the morning, one of the very first acts of the samurai when he wakes up is to prepare for death, an honorable death. And so, when you ask me what is the true measure of me being a kind person, you have to look to your funeral. And I know, again, it's dark, but the truth of the matter is that you need to ask yourself what the people that are attending your funeral are going to say. How many people are going to be at your funeral mourning your death? And this is where the introspection, the examination, and being true to yourself really matters, because you would be able to at least tell yourself, okay, I really need improvement, because I don't think with the way I've been acting that many people would attend my funeral, or if they do, they're probably not going to say anything nice or remember anything nice about me. Is that the way you want to go out? That's how I measure it. Now, it's just a recommendation or suggestion. Maybe you should think about it the same way. How you choose to be remembered is really what I use as a measure to see if I'm being kind. Now, when you're kind, the once you have gone through that journey and you're now just refining, you know, that it becomes a practice, it becomes a set of behaviors that continuously seems to emanate kindness to the people around you, things start changing. You become more positive. The people around you become more positive. And that's actually one of the main lessons that we learn from karmic gurus that say, whatever you bring out to the world is what you will receive back. So if you're kind to the world and you emanate kindness, guess what? It comes back to you. And that's not just a Christian biblical thing. That is clear across the board on every religion, including agnostics and atheists. That I can guarantee you. Now, again, if this helps you, then great. I want this to be the first day of you and I taking this journey to be kinder, nicer, and better as people to one another. Thank you.